Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Art Whisperer 88. Today I will be doing a tracing with my digital projector. Now on your screen you will see an iconic bridge taken from a photo in my neighborhood. It's called the Verrazzano Narrows Bridge. It was at one time the longest suspension bridge in the world, and it is emblematic of this neighborhood, which I love. And I decided I want to do a urban landscape. So I'm going to lightly pencil in the outline of the bridge. Just to establish the position of the shapes. And here is a old-time street lamp. There are not too many of these surviving in the city. They have been changed to the modern street lamps. I think this is called a bishop's crook. It's quite ornate, and I think the design goes back to the 19th century. It's got these flourishes here. You have a couple of pigeons there. Another symbol of the city. These are the suspension cables. Okay, that's the bridge. Now I'm going to pencil in the surrounding buildings, just to get a sense of the proportions and the details. The projector is very helpful in giving you a guide for the perspective. You see these buildings here, these low buildings. So the tops of the buildings have an angle. And so I'm just going to lightly pencil in the direction of the windows. So what I plan to do is pencil these in roughly, and then come in with a pen and ink and do a pen and ink drawing. And after doing the pen and ink, I will apply watercolor. Okay, here's another ubiquitous item on the streets of the city. Your walk and don't walk signs. Okay. I'm just going to lightly pencil in what the masses of trees, the leaves. Oops. Same here. There's more traffic lights. Now my camera, when I was taking this photo, was facing upwards, so I didn't get too much of the car traffic. Because actually it looks pretty cluttered on both sides of the street, and the main subject matter in this piece is the bridge. So just lightly penciling in the shapes of the trees that I will fill in later with a wash of watercolor. Here's the side of the building. And then all these details of lines, I just do that later. This is just to establish, kind of like blocking in the major shapes here. Tons of windows and store signs, etc. So I'm trying just to get the main masses of dark areas. Just add more vertical lines. Here's the entrance ramp. Okay, just some more vertical lines. These are all the cables that hold the bridge up. Okay. Okay, I think I got most of the large shapes. And the street, this lamppost, side buildings, traffic signs, side buildings, and trees. Okay. Well, that's it for the tracing part. So in my next segment, I will show you the pencil sketch and start inking in the buildings and the bridge. Okay, welcome to the second segment of my pen and ink video. I have here my Arteza Microline pens, and I have been doodling with 3 different thicknesses. There's 0.3 millimeters, 0.4 millimeters, and a 0.35 millimeter to see what feels right. This is a nice fine line, 0.3. This is a 0.4 and a 0.35. I'm going to go with the 0.4. It feels it's thick enough that I can see where it's going as opposed to the finer ones. So again, I'm going to show you the reference photo right here. Hope it's not too glary. And going to have that nearby. And let me start with a straight line, because this is the subject matter. So by having these straight lines, this is my guide for the rest of the painting. Now, I don't have to have everything perfectly straight because this is a freehand pen and ink, but it's good to have a reference point. Well, the second straight line is the street lamp post. So these are the main straight lines in this composition. And then everything else uses it as a guide. Okay. So now the line here that indicates the thickness of the bridge. So it's a three-dimensional thing. There. Then you have these two, the source of the cables up here. And I'm just going to freehand this. This is the suspension cable. Now all these lines here are vertical lines. These are the suspension cables that hold up the bridge, and that gives some kind of vibration to the drawing. So I will next, now that I have the bridge mapped out, I'm going to do the bishop's crook. There's a little circle like here. And here's the curlicue that's part of the support. You have another bracket here. Another bracket there. Another curlicue here. Like I had mentioned earlier, it is quite ornate and is clearly from the 19th century. All the modern street lamps now are LEDs and are just very simple straight lines. In fact, you'd hardly notice them because they're not meant to be decorative, more functional. But you know, in the old days, it was important for objects to be decorative. Here's another flourish. Okay, Then it stops here. This is a stop sign. I'll do that later. Then you have a couple of pigeons, just to add some interest. They're just hanging out. I'm going to do them facing each other so it's a little more interesting. So now there are the top part of the bridge has 1, 2, 3, 4. It has 4 lines. I'm just going to indicate them with dots. Okay. All right, that's the, it sets down the main character in this drawing. And all the other buildings, trees, and cars, those are the secondary characters. Okay, now here in the distance is another street lamp. You have to remember this is a perspective drawing, so everything is squeezed and there's a vanishing point somewhere in the distance. So all the lines, like all the tops of these buildings and trees, they all come down like so. It's the same kind of bell-shaped lamp. That gives it its characteristic design. Okay, and then the rest, this is a tree here. Okay, so that's the bridge. Now I'm going to do the suspension cables. Now each cable actually they're double cables. So I'm just going to do a double. Right. I'm going to do the vertical lines here later because I plan to wash some cerulean blue for the sky up here. It's coming down, and then maybe very pale, very, very pale peachy orange down here, just to give it some interest. The original photo was taken in the afternoon, maybe like around noon, but I'm going to change the time frame to like a little before sunset, so it becomes a little more colorful. 'Cause the main colors in the original photo are sky blue and a little phthalo blue and black, and that's it, you know. So like I had mentioned before, in some photographs I adjust the colors, I exaggerate, I embellish, just to make it a little more interesting to look at. So I'm going to take a short break and continue with my trees and buildings. But now I've set down the main character of this artwork, and I'll be right back. Okay, I've shifted my paper to the right so I can get to this area here. So this is one of the taller buildings. Okay, that's it for the pen and ink portion. So now I'm going to clean this up, get rid of the graphite because it's beginning to smear on the paper. So just for the sake of neatness, I'm going to erase the excess pencil, and then I can proceed with the watercolor overlay. So I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back from a short break, and now I'm ready to place a watercolor wash of sky. As you can see, I have masked off the bridge with some special tape. This is a tape that is safe for delicate surfaces, and I use it instead of using the liquid Triscuit, which is more appropriate for like things like leaves and more organic shapes. But since these are all straight lines, I just use tape. So I'm going to start with doing a light wash of light blue on the sky up here. And I prepared some cerulean blue and some yellow. It's a deep yellow. I'm going to do a wash here. And by the way, this is Fabriano. I'm giving it a try. I've never used Fabriano before. So I'm trying several things all at once. I'm trying the Fabriano, and I'm also trying the Tri-Art watercolors along with the micro pens. Okay, let's see. Okay, that's it for the sky. Maybe I will put some very light Okay, that's it for the sky. I have to let this dry first, and then I can peel off the tape just to be on the safe side that it doesn't rip the paper off. Actually, in the meantime, while the sky is drying, I can do very pale washes of green. I have to say I do like the feel of Fabriano. It's not as heavy as the other papers, but it has a nice response. Okay, that's it for the trees and the sky. Let me see how this... Okay, it was able to protect the bridge from the wash.